In Hollywood, coming out isn't always brave. It's risky. Agents warn you. Casting directors box you in. And for years, these 5 gay celebs were told, keep it quiet, don't ruin your brand. So they did. Until the spotlight got too bright, and their silence became the loudest thing in the room. In today's episode, we're diving into the stories of 5 male celebrities who tried to stay closeted. But Hollywood, the internet, or just the truth wouldn't let them. Some were outed by pressure. Some cracked under expectation. Some finally said, enough. From streaming heartthrobs to queer pop icons, these are the names you love, the faces you know, and the truths they didn't get to tell on their own terms. Because being gay in Hollywood isn't just personal, it's political. And when you're famous, everyone thinks your closet comes with a key. Stick around and tell us, which one of these stories hit you the hardest? Drop their number in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. We're here. We see you. Rainbow. Brandon Flynn, from Netflix sweetheart to unapologetic queer icon. When 13 Reasons Why exploded onto Netflix in 2017, the world was introduced to a cast of rising stars, fresh faces with complicated stories. But no one shined brighter or stayed more mysterious than Brandon Flynn. As Justin Foley, Brandon played the classic high school bad boy, emotionally layered, quietly tortured, impossibly good-looking. His performance was raw, real, and unforgettable. But while fans obsessed over his on-screen storylines, his real-life story stayed behind the curtain. For the first year of his rise, Brandon stayed quiet about his sexuality. There were whispers, Reddit threads, and fan speculation, but nothing confirmed. And in Hollywood, that's often intentional, especially for young actors in their breakout roles. Brandon later admitted that he was advised not to come out publicly, with the usual industry line. Don't limit your casting potential. Stay neutral. Don't give them a reason to put you in a box. But silence didn't sit well with him. In 2017, as Australia debated legalizing same-sex marriage, Brandon posted a powerful note on Instagram, his first public acknowledgement that he was gay. Too many of my friends have had to sit in the dark for too long. I am a part of this community, and I'm proud of it. Just like that, the closet door opened, not with a headline, but with heart. What followed was both beautiful and brutal. Brandon became an overnight LGBTQ+ icon. He walked red carpets in designer suits with sheer shirts and painted nails. He began using his platform to speak up about queer identity, mental health, and body image. He also began dating pop superstar Sam Smith. The relationship was high-profile, soft, and full of queer tenderness. But when it ended, the internet turned cruel. Suddenly, Brandon wasn't the dreamy Netflix boyfriend. He was that guy Sam Smith dated. And that's the risk of coming out in Hollywood. Your love life becomes your storyline. But Brandon didn't shrink. He kept showing up, queer, honest, and unfiltered. He played gay characters in indie films. He spoke up when celebrities made harmful comments about LGBTQ+ people. He called out fake allies, and through it all, he never stopped showing younger queer fans that vulnerability is strength. Today, Brandon Flynn isn't just the guy from 13 Reasons Why. He's a symbol of what happens when you refuse to be silenced. When you take back the story everyone else tries to write for you. He didn't come out with a PR rollout. He didn't make it a spectacle. He just told the truth and stood by it, no matter how messy it got. Drop a 1 if Brandon's journey reminded you that coming out isn't about timing, it's about courage. Jonathan Bailey, the leading man who had to lie to get cast. Jonathan Bailey is proof that in Hollywood, being gay and being a leading man are still treated like two separate identities. Handsome, eloquent, classically trained, and utterly magnetic on screen, Jonathan became a household name playing Anthony Bridgerton, the brooding Viscount with bedroom eyes and a soft spot for scandal in Netflix's smash hit Bridgerton. Millions fell in love. And for a while, most had no idea that the man melting hearts on screen was, in real life, a proud gay actor, one who once believed that he had to stay closeted to get roles like this. In interviews, Jonathan has spoken candidly about the pressure he felt early in his career. He recalled hearing casting agents and producers say things like, "There's two things we don't want to know. If you're an alcoholic or if you're gay." That was the message. Stay in the closet or stay unemployed. And so, for years, he did. Jonathan kept his personal life private, skipped Pride appearances, and avoided discussing his identity in public, even as he quietly dated men and built a name for himself in London's theater scene. But that internal split between who he was and who he was expected to be took a toll. He once said, "I thought I had to be straight to play romantic leads. I convinced myself that being out would ruin everything I'd worked for." It wasn't until after he was firmly established after awards, accolades, and fan worship that Jonathan finally decided to stop hiding. He came out publicly in 2020, not with fanfare, but with grace. He began speaking openly in interviews, attending queer events, and using his platform to champion LGBTQ+ inclusion in British theater and Hollywood. And something remarkable happened. He didn't lose anything. In fact, he became more in demand than ever. His turn in Bridgerton only amplified his appeal, especially to queer audiences who praised the fact that a gay actor could finally play a heterosexual heartthrob without needing to hide. Now, Jonathan Bailey is one of the most powerful examples of how far Hollywood still has to go, but also how far it's come. He didn't get to come out on his terms at the beginning, but he's reclaiming his story now, with honesty, elegance, and more confidence than ever. He's even taking on queer roles, like in Fellow Travelers, a gay romance set against Cold War America, proving he doesn't need to pass anymore. And in doing so, he's opening doors for others. Drop a 2 if Jonathan's story reminds you that being brave doesn't always mean being loud, it means being true. Troye Sivan, from YouTube kid to queer pop superstar. If you met Troye Sivan today, you'd see a confident, fashion-forward queer icon, owning runways, releasing sensual pop hits, and pushing queer visibility into the mainstream with style and smirk. But back in the early 2000s and 10s, he was just a soft-spoken teen with a webcam and a secret. Troye first rose to fame as a YouTuber, posting charming vlogs and acoustic covers in his bedroom. His fan base grew fast, thanks to his warm voice, quirky humor, and the quiet comfort he radiated. He also landed acting gigs, including a young Wolverine in X-Men Origins, Wolverine, and a lead in the Spud film trilogy in South Africa. But for all his online openness, there was one thing he didn't share: his sexuality. And for good reason. Troye has said he knew he was gay from a young age, but the fear of rejection, by fans, studios, even his own community, kept him silent. Then in 2013, at age 18, he posted a video titled "Coming Out." Calm, unscripted, no theatrics, just honesty. "I want you guys to know that I'm gay." And it feels kind of weird to have to announce it like this on a platform I've used to be myself. That video has since racked up millions of views, and marked the moment when Troye went from internet kid to queer role model. But even after that, Hollywood didn't quite know what to do with him. In music, labels tried to market him as cute and clean, a soft, safe version of gay that wouldn't upset straight listeners. In acting, roles dried up. There was still a quiet expectation that being too openly queer would limit his reach. But Troye pushed back, with eyeliner, crop tops, and lyrics that didn't change he to she. His 2015 debut album Blue Neighborhood was tender and intimate. Songs about heartbreak between boys layered in synths and soft sadness. His next projects got bolder, sexier, louder. By Bloom, he wasn't just singing about queer love, he was owning it. Troye became the face of queer pop for Gen Z. He appeared on magazine covers in silk and mesh, he flirted with androgyny, wore dresses on stage, and turned sensuality into statement. His videos weren't just inclusive, they were erotic, romantic, and revolutionary. But what makes his journey so important isn't just the glow-up. It's the fact that he came out early and still had to fight to be taken seriously. He didn't get a career boost from his queerness. He built success in spite of the stigma. And now, he's helping redefine what a gay pop star can look, sound, and move like. Drop a 3 if Troye Sivan made you feel like queerness could be soft, sexy, and powerful, all at once. Jonathan Groff, the Broadway golden boy who found pride in his own time. Before he voiced Kristoff in Frozen, before he lit up Hamilton as the hilariously unhinged King George, before he became one of Hollywood's most respected queer actors, Jonathan Groff spent years pretending to be someone he wasn't. To the world, he was the all-American theater heartthrob, charming, boyish, endlessly likable. To his friends and family, he was gay. But to the press and to the industry, he stayed silent. Jonathan rose to fame in 2006 when he landed the lead in Spring Awakening on Broadway. He was just 21 years old and received a Tony nomination for his role. Behind the curtain, however, he was already navigating the emotional gymnastics of being closeted on stage while surrounded by queer creatives. He's since admitted that he didn't come out publicly during that time because he was afraid it would hurt his career. There was a lot of fear. I thought, if people know, I'll stop getting cast. And sadly, that fear wasn't unfounded. In the late 2000s, being an openly gay actor still carried stigma, especially if you wanted to play romantic leads. Even when he landed the role of Jesse St. James on Glee, a show celebrated for its queer representation, Jonathan still hadn't come out publicly. He dated quietly, navigated interviews cautiously, and stayed within the lines drawn for him. It wasn't until 2009, after the death of his father, that Jonathan made the decision to come out publicly. The loss shifted his perspective. I realized life is short, and I didn't want to hide anymore. His coming out wasn't a viral video or a tabloid exclusive. It was a quiet announcement in an interview, followed by years of action that spoke louder than any headline. Since then, Jonathan has become one of the most respected and visible gay actors in the entertainment industry. He starred in HBO's Looking, a bold and intimate portrait of modern queer life. He's taken on complex gay characters with depth and dignity, and off-screen he's embraced visibility, not just in words, but in how he lives, performs, and connects. He's also used his platform to speak to younger queer people about fear, shame, and how long it can take to feel fully free. Jonathan never pretends his journey was easy, but that's what makes it powerful. He once said, "Coming out doesn't solve everything, but it starts something. And for me, it started a better life." Now, whether he's making us laugh in musicals, cry in drama, or simply being himself on stage, Jonathan Groff is proof that you can take your time and still arrive proud. Drop a 4 if Jonathan's story reminded you that coming out isn't about when, it's about why. Cody Fern, the androgynous rebel. Hollywood couldn't ignore. Cody Fern doesn't just walk into a room. He floats in like a fever dream, blurring the lines between masculine, feminine, and everything in between. In an industry that still struggles with nonconformity, Cody didn't wait for permission to be different. He showed up that way, unapologetically. The Australian-born actor didn't start in Hollywood. In fact, he was on track for a career in finance when he dropped everything to pursue acting. His breakout moment came in The Assassination of Gianni Versace, American Crime Story, where he played a troubled and closeted gay man, a role so raw many wondered how close it hit to home. But Cody wasn't interested in answering those questions. He refused to label his sexuality early in his career, instead leaning into ambiguity and letting his work and fashion speak for him. In a 2019 interview, when asked directly if he identified as gay, he calmly replied, "I live authentically, that's enough." To some, that sounded evasive. To others, especially queer fans craving more fluid representation, it sounded like freedom. Still, Hollywood wasn't sure what to do with him. He was too unconventional for the leading man mold, too bold for sidekick roles, too stylish to ignore. At red carpets, Cody made headlines not just for what he wore, but how he wore it. Sheer lace shirts, tailored skirts, blood-red eyeshadow, combat boots. And that's before we get to that iconic Met Gala moment in head-to-toe Maison Margiela. In American Horror Story, Apocalypse, he played the Antichrist in heels, and somehow made it seductive. Fans called him the dark angel of queer visibility. Casting agents whispered about his mystique. But while the fashion and roles made waves, his personal journey remained quiet. It wasn't until 2021, after years of speculation, that Cody began attending events and posting publicly with his long-term male partner. No announcement, no magazine cover, just living and being seen. That soft reveal felt perfectly Cody, stylish, mysterious, and deeply intentional. In many ways, Cody Fern represents the next evolution of queer identity in Hollywood. Not the coming out moment, but the living out loud moment. He doesn't owe anyone an explanation. His queerness isn't just about who he loves, it's how he walks, acts, dresses, dares. And for a generation raised on rigid boxes, Cody is a reminder that labels can be limiting and style can be political. Drop a 5 if Cody Fern made you realize that being queer doesn't mean choosing sides. It means creating your own space. What do Brandon Flynn, Jonathan Bailey, Troye Sivan, Jonathan Groff, and Cody Fern all have in common? They didn't just come out, they evolved in public, often under pressure, sometimes in silence, always with impact. Some were outed before they were ready. Others walked the fine line between privacy and visibility. But one thing's for sure, each of them helped redefine what queerness looks like in Hollywood today. Because queerness isn't a confession. It's a celebration. It's not about fitting a label. It's about breaking the mold. And whether they whispered it, sang it, or strutted it down a red carpet in heels, these 5 stars made sure the world listened. Which story hit you hardest? Drop their number in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. We're building a global queer spotlight, one icon at a time. Stay proud, stay loud, stay until next time.